Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Double Stuff Podcast, where we're double the hosts, double the topics, and double the fun. And I'm Alan.
I'm Dan.
I'm Charity.
And I'm Sarah.
Ooh,
don't start that.
Tired.
Yeah, don't do that. That's contagious.
Hey, guys, we're revisiting some old podcasts that we've had from our first season. And one of the second ones that we did was entitled Melatonin and Mustard. And if you want to go back and visit that, we'll talk about that in a second. But this particular episode, we were talking about sleep. And I have something a bit topical to ask you, mostly for Sarah and Charity, as we all live in the same city. Did you guys feel the earthquakes last night?
Oh my gosh, they woke me up.
There was three of them.
Yeah, I was.
Was there more?
My little sister said there was 4.
Okay.
So I must have slept through the first one. I felt a little baby tremor, and then the last 2 were very, very big. But since they woke me up, I was in that weird half sleep, half awake haze, and so I thought I dreamed it at first.
Sure.
And so I texted a couple people. I was like, "Was there an earthquake, or was I dreaming?" And they're like, "No, there definitely was."
Yeah, I missed the first couple. For the big one, and then not the one right before the bigger of the group. I woke to my wife's hand on my shoulder digging in. Do you feel that as the house is shaking? And I'm like, yes, I do. And then shortly thereafter was an even bigger one. And you know what? I must have slept through the first couple because I've been on this melatonin.
You still?
Thank you for that segue there.
Still doing it?
I'm still doing melatonin. So let's go back and take a listen to where I found out about melatonin in season 1. Trader Joe's orange chicken is the bomb. It's basically chicken nuggets that are pre-dipped in a sweet sauce. We've been eating way too much ketchup. You can't dip that ketchup. Dip it in the orange sauce. Yeah.
We've been doing orange sauce for years. You mix your mustard and ketchup together.
People don't eat mustard. Mustard.
I eat mustard.
I like mustard.
What's with all the disdain towards mustard?
No, honey mustard I'll do.
No,
like regular
mustard is
Honey mustard is not mustard, though.
No, but it's got the word mustard in it.
Well, my wife had mentioned she had been having trouble going to sleep, like staying up to like 2 o'clock in the morning. She said, I want to try out melatonin. Tried it last night, was out. Was out. Melatonin is legit.
But I'm not a believer yet. Think about how long does it take for you to normally fall asleep? What did you do during the day? Maybe you had a tiring day at work, and maybe the kids wore you out. You got to think of your age and your weight, what the surroundings were in is your bed comfortable, and how hot were you?
You're wearing me out right now.
Look, he's already getting drowsy. He's already getting drowsy.
Wow, that was pretty crazy, guys. Charity, how do you still feel about mustard?
I feel exactly the same. No feelings have changed within the past year. And before we started recording, Alan reminded me of our lockdown videos of when I did a taste testing of various types of mustard to see what I liked and what I didn't like. And to everyone's surprise, honey mustard was and still is my favorite form of mustard, even though apparently it doesn't count with you guys. It counts with me.
Well, let's take a little bit of a listen to that now.
Why is there chunks in it?
Whole thing. I put the whole thing in.
Oh,
Whole thing.
I'm chewing it. Oh. Why are there chunks in here?
You know what kind it is?
I have no idea what this is.
It is whole grain Dijon mustard.
Oh, why? Why? It's chunky. I don't like nuts in my dessert. I don't like crunchy peanut butter, and mustard should never crunch.
Well, if you want to see the whole video, and that one includes video as well as audio on all of our YouTube Just Us cookies that are produced by Sarah and Charity, you can go and check it out there at...
Just go to our YouTube page. It's at Double Stuff Podcast. You can also check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Double Stuff Podcast, and also on Twitter at Double Stuff P, which is the letter P.
Yeah, and all of our newest episodes, including all of our pasts, are located at our website, which is
doublestuffpod.com.
Very good.
Awesome.
And we'll probably repost some of that since we're revisiting old memories. We'll probably repost some things. So that way it'd be easier for you guys to find.
Yeah. Oh, a quick tidbit, trivia, whatever. If you guys listened to last week's episode, which was our introductory episode, technically when we recorded that was our 8th episode. This Melatonin and Mustard was actually our very first podcast recording ever.
Fun facts.
Little double stuff trivia.
And sometimes listening to it, you can totally tell that was our very first episode.
We were such podcasting babies.
We didn't know what we were doing.
Running around in our little diapers and microphones.
Right.
And
diapers and microphones. If we were
I did not have a diaper on.
If we were changing the title, I would totally call that.
That's a subtitle.
So on that episode, we were talking about sleep, and sleep is such an important part of just having a healthy life. One of the things that I struggle with, even still today, is making sure that I can get enough sleep. Now, in that episode, we were talking about how I can put myself to sleep. It's strangely enough, I don't know if I just don't have the focus on it, and it seems like I need to focus on it a little bit more, but I've been having trouble going to sleep lately, or just staying up late, maybe not getting enough sleep. And I don't know if, as you had mentioned earlier, Charity, with the lockdown, with sleep schedules getting kind of just crazy, it's really thrown me for a loop. But and since we've recorded that, how your guys' sleep's been?
I mean, I think you bring up a good point because, people are getting their vaccines and stuff now, and stuff is, slowly opening back up. You could stay at home and then wake up real quick and do a Zoom meeting and then take a nap in between. And, and so I think COVID changed everyone's sleep patterns because a lot of people had to work from home. But now that people are going back to the office or, whatever jobs that they're doing, they have to have a sleep schedule and, they have to actually get up and go to work and, they can't skip showers and they,
kids
put on
are going back to school.
So you're back to regular world stuff. So it's probably going to take a while to get back into it, and time change might have thrown some people off. So, I think there's a lot of factors in that.
I think you're talking sense.
Yeah. I usually do.
Well, what about you, Dan? How do you feel about that?
I actually during this last year have ended up falling asleep earlier, but getting up earlier than I ever had before. I used to be able to fall asleep late and then get up late or get up early, and it was no problem. But I've kind of changed it up now a little bit. We've sort of forced ourselves to start going to bed a lot later. And, this daylight savings time is just wrecked me for that. One day in, and I'm already just dying.
Well, you had an hour difference from, being in Florida. And I don't know if that messed you up from, time difference and stuff. Because whenever we do our recordings and stuff, we always had to make sure that, okay, it's, such and such o'clock Central Time and then East Coast time for Dan. So that way we wouldn't, mess it up. So I don't know if that was messing you up too.
It did when I first got back here, for sure. I mean, that, you think, oh, it's just an hour difference. We do that every year, twice a year we change it around, but it makes a big difference at first starting out. The biggest thing that I've noticed though is I can stay up and watch Saturday Night Live and it doesn't end at 1:00 in the morning. So that's, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
So you're an adult now, Dan. You get to watch the big kid shows.
That's right. I get to stay up past my bedtime.
And eat junk food.
No, that's true. I can remember when I was in California on the West Coast, and if there were any East Coast like baseball games that went into like, extra innings or football games that would go into overtime, like it could easily be midnight, 1:00 or something like that. I remember baseball games, some didn't end till like 2 a.m. You had to find out who won. If you were a responsible adult, you'd go to sleep and then find out who won the next day. But yeah.
I don't know if I'd stay up late for baseball. Like, the only sports I'm really into is the Olympics. Like that, I'll stay up all night long if I have to. But like regular sports, I'm like, nah, I'm going to bed. I'll check the stats in the morning.
Well, and usually that applies when it's live. But and you guys are in master control, so you have a little bit more. I think that they do an hour delay as far as the different between East Coast, Central, and then West Coast or something. Do they delay it? Here's a little TV or knowledge going on right now.
When I worked master control, we did do a lot of football, baseball, and they were all live. I have a bit of a not good relationship with sports, because when it is live, it just goes on and on and on, and you want to go home. Because I know there was one time we were doing baseball, and they went into 13 innings.
Oh yeah,
that's a long time.
That's a good ball game though, right? 9.
I think it's supposed to be 9.
Is that standard?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they went into like, super overtime. And when you're doing live sports, especially if you're the only person running master control, you have to stay until it's done.
Yeah.
So by the time the 13th inning ended, and of course we have to air the news, which we had pre-recorded. So, and you have to air the news in its entirety, and then you have to join another show in progress. By the time everything was said and done, I didn't leave until like 2 a.m. And usually I don't mind staying up late when I'm doing stuff, but if it's stuff I don't want to do, I don't want to do it.
Sarah is the ultimate night owl. That's where Sarah and I are complete opposites.
You got to get your sleep.
We're very similar.
You got to get your beauty sleep.
Yes.
I got to get my brainy sleep early.
No, but I would prefer to get up early over stay up late. So like all through college, I would be like, oh, I got a paper to write. I'll get up at 3 a.m. and finish it. Versus most college students would, let me, stay up late and get it done. The later I stay up, the worse my paper gets. Or I don't type anything and I just stare at my laptop because I can't focus. So like, I'll say, okay, let me get a couple hours sleep, and I wake up and bust that paper out really quick. So I am very much a morning person. Sarah is not.
I'm still a night owl, but my schedule has changed that I have to get up early. So, now that I'm in a situation where I have to kind of sacrifice, like, should I stay up late and do all this and then get up early?
But that doesn't mean you've embraced the early bird life.
I mean, I've had to by force, not because I want to. But it's kind of talking a little bit about going back to the time change. See, when me and Charity, I know it's not like this now, but when me and Charity lived in Indianapolis specifically, they didn't do daylight savings for a long time. Instead of changing the daylight saving, they just changed the time of the shows. So, instead of it, you have a usual show that starts from like 9 to 10. Instead of changing the daylight saving, they would just have the show go from 10 to 11.
Yeah.
So like the whole TV schedule would shift an hour.
Yeah.
But we didn't physically change the time. So, and I'm trying to remember when that finally stopped. I think it was after we moved to Kansas when that part in Indiana finally did daylight savings. So that's still kind of a newish thing, at least for that area. So, I don't know. I don't know if that's, and there's always talk of them not doing it, not having
they say that every
saving.
year, and every year we still do it.
Yeah.
So.
Every year we're disappointed.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
unsure.
I think it's a regional thing. So it's kind of we're not going to, like Kansas won't unless Oklahoma does as well, and Missouri.
So everybody has to.
I think everybody has. Everybody's all in, or
no, that's not necessarily the
in.
case though, because Arizona doesn't recognize it. So
but Arizona kind of does its own thing.
It does,
on a lot
and it really
of things.
throws me off because I work with a station in Arizona, and we have been doing everything on a 2-hour delay because they've been in Mountain Time, and now now it's a 3-hour delay because now they're on Pacific Time.
3 hours, gosh.
Okay. So even though they won't play by the rules, you still have to program accordingly for them because they won't play by the rules.
Yeah, basically, it kind of runs that way. So it's really interesting.
Doesn't that sound like America?
It's true.
So I have a question though. Since we were talking about sleep, I was thinking about this earlier this week.
Okay.
So there was a girl I used to work with at the candy store we used to work at.
Yes, Tammy Smitherton.
Yes, Tammy. So Tammy was telling me that when she was younger, her bedtime as a child was 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and I thought that was extremely early because I have to ask my parents because I remember going to bed at around 8 o'clock.
Most people have dinner around 5 or 6, right?
No, I think mine was 7:30 because I remember in the summertime, my mom taking me kicking and screaming to go to bed. Well, I probably wasn't kicking and screaming, but she sent me to bed, and I had a window in my room, and it was clearly daylight. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. It makes it hard to go to sleep. Yeah.
Especially with
she
daylight
knew best
saving.
because I needed it.
Well, especially with daylight saving because at the time of this recording, with that change, we have more sunlight now. So especially if you're going to tell you go to bed, and it's like the sun is clearly still out.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing. Like unless you, you cover the windows and dark shades. And,
is that how you guys if you're in a hotel or something? Do you need it to be pitch black?
I'm going to admit this right now in the sight of God and all men.
Uh-oh.
I do not like sleeping in the dark.
You don't like sleeping in the dark.
I have a nightlight, but I also have an eye mask too, which defeats the purpose of it. But but if I get up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I really want to drink, I know I'm not going to trip over all the crap in my room.
Yeah.
But I do have an eye mask, so I don't know why I have a nightlight. But there we go.
No, I've never been able. Personally, sleeping in pitch black darkness will keep me probably more awake because I feel like I'm more aware of things.
So the boogeyman to come out your closet.
Well, it's just dark. It's just dark, and it's just dark.
I think one of the things that affects me, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, it's even though I'm asleep, I can sense light changes. So whether there's some light leaking into the room or not, as long as it's constant, I can be asleep. But if we have a floodlight that's right over our bedroom window that's pointing to the back yard, and if I don't turn off that floodlight and it's on a motion sensor, like the bunny rabbits and things like that go, they'll
the
trip
wildlife.
The wildlife in the backyard will trip it. And then the floodlights come on. And even though our blinds are closed, it's enough of a change of a light leak that'll interrupt my sleep.
Yeah.
So Dan, what about your childhood bedtime? Did you have a?
Yeah,
we were weird. We didn't. I mean, I don't recall specifically my childhood bedtime, but my family doesn't eat dinner never before 7, rarely before 8. So bedtime was a little late, and I never slept anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I remember our mom would she was kind of smart in doing this. She would probably start getting us ready for bed around 7:30 or so. So get your pajamas on, brush your teeth, and all of that.
Yeah.
So you're cognitively aware.
You got it. You got it.
You're aware that you're going to bed, so it's not like, okay, time for bed. Oh, mom, you've been preparing for about 45 minutes.
45.
You know it's going to happen.
We need 2 hours in our house.
Well, I mean, whatever the time was, I'm probably remembering this incorrectly. My mom's going to be like, actually, we sent you to bed at 4.
It took you that long to finally get up.
But I remember when we were, as we got a little bit,
45 minutes.
As we got a little bit older, 9 o'clock, it was oh. But I don't think she ever said, okay, now your bedtime's 9 o'clock. I think she just kind of let us stay up. I remember looking at the clock and I was like, oh, she's not going to send us to bed yet? Okay, it's 9 o'clock now, and then you would go to bed. I think after a while, you just put yourself to bed when you get old enough.
Yeah.
Well, outside of childhood memories, as we all are adults, and I assume most of our listeners are mostly adults, one of the things that
aside from your children.
Well, that's
which
true.
are still mostly adults.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too. But one of the things that they say to make sure that you are getting plenty of sleep and that you have good, healthy sleep routines is to remove all the distractions, so that when you go into bed, when you go into your bedroom, your body recognizes that it's time to go to sleep. So, do you guys have your cell phones, your devices? Do you have a television in your room? I know for me, I have my phone is my device, and I'll spend a little bit of time on it, but I'm pretty good about closing it down, shutting it down, and then just kind of.
Yeah, because this does bring up another thing. Not only do you like sleeping in pitch black darkness, can you sleep in total dead silence, which I don't like either.
I think
so. For all you men out there, I'm just letting you know now, it's going to be bright and it's going to be noisy.
Oh boy!
Because I don't like sleeping in complete silence either.
That's it.
It's like you can hear the quiet.
Yeah, and
that would keep me awake.
And I do have a little bit of a noise machine. We put a fan on low, and just that little
fan is
oh
life.
My gosh!
Fan sleeping is life, man.
We've been. That's something that my mom's been doing since birth, and I think it's just one of the things that's just been ingrained.
Is it the noise, or is the air circulating, or is it a combination?
She used to have a very loud fan that, for some reason, all three of us slept through. But it was a loud enough fan that if there was noise going on in the house,
it wouldn't wake up the baby.
Yeah, we as babies wouldn't wake up, and so she did that all throughout our baby toddler life. So now, because we've done that since birth, we have to have a fan on in the background, so that she's trained us.
A fan or a TV. Yeah, in the summer it's nice to have that fan because that was that white noise or whatever. Yeah. It's kind of nice having that. Yeah. It's like monotonous enough,
Yeah, and I hope I'm not intruding, but because I know
that's the point of the podcast. We're already given personal information.
Well, I'm going outside of our immediate circle. I know that my parents also listen to the podcast, and I hope they're okay with this. If not, sorry, mom and dad. I haven't given an apology yet.
I'm a
sorry,
grown
mom and
man.
dad.
I can do my own
That's right.
thing.
But I think that my dad still travels. When he travels, he packs like a little Honeywell fan, and when he's in a hotel or something, just to have that noise. Maybe it's the airflow as well. I don't know.
Okay, so this is going to sound really old lady. So we're talking about what to pack for a hotel.
Okay.
So there have been certain trips, not every trip, but we're talking about old lady stuff. I have packed a fan before. I've also packed a dehumidifier.
Oh,
now that makes me sound like really old, but like, over the past few years, have developed a few allergies and stuff. So taking that with you into a hotel has been very helpful for me, sit it by my bed or whatever.
Yeah.
And I can breathe. But I've also packed like, a heating pad and stuff like like a little mini pharmacy kit for my hotel stay.
Nice. That's the Boy Scout way. Be prepared.
Right.
It is.
Absolutely. I'd say fan wise, like we definitely have a fan. But Alan, what you were talking about with devices, it's so weird. I think that makes total sense with the blue light, and people stay up and they stay on their devices and they oversleep. I have a hard time going to sleep without watching a YouTube video. I mean, I'll put on like a 10-minute YouTube video and I won't even get halfway through it, and I'll like drop it on my face. So I have to have something like that in order to fall asleep most of the time.
And I think that we talked about that in that episode.
He did mention that.
Yeah.
My friend's got that app where it does that like constant, there's a certain frequency where like it does this constant like me or whatever that's supposed to lull you to sleep or something.
I'm always leery about those. What if like an app developer is nefarious and wants to like insert a little
subliminal message
or something, and so I'm like, I don't want to entrust my most vulnerable state of the day, sleep, with somebody that I do not know. But I know that they're really popular.
Now I will say the older I've gotten, when I was younger, I suffered from sleep apnea, which is like.
Did you grow out of it, or do you still have it?
I know it happens a lot in kids. It doesn't happen as often as an adult. I think I've gotten out of that.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that is because also when I was a kid, I was a heavy sleeper. Nothing could wake me up.
Not
Nothing
even a
at all.
3.5 earthquake?
Oh, that wouldn't have gotten me. I probably would have been on the floor and I wouldn't have responded. But for some reason, maybe it's just the fact that, body changes, whatever. Once I got into college, which I guess makes sense, my sleep changed. I became a lighter sleeper. Yeah. And so now when I sleep, like the slightest thing wakes me up now. And 15 so years ago, that wouldn't have been the case. It's because I was such a heavy sleeper. Maybe that was because
that was the first time you were sleeping in different surroundings for a longer period of time, because it's not like you went to camp for a couple weeks and came back. Like college, you were like you're living there, and that's where you're sleeping. You're not at home, so that comfort, you're like mentally aware.
I've heard that too.
Level is different.
That college, the dorm room lifestyle throws off because your bed is your couch, it's your dining room table, it's your study area, so it's really hard to.
I think, and part of that, I think part of that also was out of fear, because I was so scared that I would oversleep and miss something. And maybe I kind of made a
Miss Christmas.
That's like Rip Van Winkle. I slept so long.
But Sarah, I don't know if you still do this. You used to set alarms to wake yourself up to see how much longer you had to sleep.
Oh, are you that person?
So you would set an alarm at 3 a.m. and be like, oh, good, I've got 4 more hours.
Are
like,
you
what?
Serious?
Yes, I still do.
You still do that?
I still do that.
I still don't understand. That would make me mad.
I don't do it as far apart as I used to. This is still part of me being a heavy sleeper because at the time I was still sleeping heavy, and I felt like I needed something to partially wake me up, so that way it wouldn't be as heavy or dark of a sleep. But now I only do it about maybe 1 hour and a half or 2 hours now. I don't wait 3 or 4 hours.
Still.
I can't do that.
But yes, I still do that.
Well, if you're still awake and want to listen to more Double Stuff podcasts, please visit us at doublestuffedpod.com, where you can get all of our podcasts. Or if you want to visit us on Facebook or Instagram, we're the Double Stuff Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Double Stuffed P, as in the letter P.